A few weeks ago, I went on a little trip into the wilderness to pray and fast and be alone for a week, and it seemed to have enough impact and inspiration on a few people's lives that I thought I'd just pull together a quick little video to share about the experience a little bit. Tried to make it a practice as I stand on the edge of cliffs and significant leaps in life, just to stop and pause and reflect and try to make sure that I'm navigating properly and walking in the right path and not deviating from the will and intention of my Father and the optimal plan, my Heavenly Father. So as we wrap up a 2-decade-long phase of our life and prepare for a very significant forward battle for the future of our life and society, it seemed prudent that I needed to get off the grid and go be alone and get time to think beyond the pavement. It's amazing when you leave the pavement how things change. The moment when you step off the beaten path, shift into four-wheel drive and head out is just an incredibly liberating feeling that I do far too little of and need to do far more in the future. Tried to meet interesting people, and God's brought really interesting people into my life, and one significantly interesting person I know that's taken these ideas of prolonged periods of fasting and prayer to as much of a limit as I've seen anybody in the past. He's been traveling and searching for these places for over 40 years and been doing retreats out here since the 70s. So he let me know that if I had four-wheel drive and commitment, there's a place that would take quite a bit of effort to get to, but it's well off the beaten path. And for those of you that are interested in such things, he had actually overlaid it with places in Israel that have historical and religious significance. So I drove about 2.5 hours from our house out into the desert, about another hour off-road, over the hills and boulders and through the desert, to reach a very unusual canyon. It's out in the middle of the desert in Southern California. It's kind of amazing when you're off-roading and just heading away from things, how the fog clears. Kind of as if we're stuck in a matrix or something, and the further you get away and the more the sounds die down, and when your cell phone stops getting reception and all the noise is shut off, and you're just hoping that your tires don't pop and that you're not stranded out there alone. It's an amazing, powerful place to be. Been trying to rediscover what some of the sacred traditions are. It seems like over the last couple thousand years, things have got so abstracted out and placed into forms and ritualized that we've forgot what some of these basic ideas are, ideas of pilgrimage, ideas of prayer and fasting in the wilderness, ideas of what fasting and purification even mean. It's amazing we have religious denominations amazing we have religious denominations that want to spend time arguing over whether you sprinkle a baby with a few drops of water at birth, or whether you dunk someone in a pool, or whether you dunk someone in an ocean or a river, and how and when you have these little instances of getting a little water on your body. From everything I can tell, the rituals of fasting and baptism and all such things are so much deeper and so much sacred, and I fear that we've horribly lost their meaning to our detriment, because maybe they're matters of life and death. So this kind of a pilgrimage out to somewhere really deep is an entirely different thing. It's interesting traditions and interesting ideas about water too. As you can see, you drive out into the middle of the barren Anza-Borrego desert, and there's just nothing. Death and thorns and very little, and then all of a sudden you come across these streams. Streams just of completely pure water flowing from the heart of the mountains and flowing down through the desert. It's really maybe an amazing analogy. It's maybe an amazing analogy for what we want for our lives and for our nation and for our world. It's maybe an amazing analogy for the type of cleansing and purity we'd love to find. So after a few hours of driving out to the middle of nowhere, took my backpack and backpacking tent and sleeping pad and hiked further out into the middle of nowhere. And climb up on the cliffs, get up above the streams, and just out into the barren rocks of the box canyons that go back. Air's dry, completely alone. Just feels amazingly sacred and beautiful, and desolate, lonely, wild, harsh. I found this rock that's up there at the top of the video. Just a big flat rock above a canyon. Looked like a good spot to pitch my tent, so I pitched my tent there, and that rock's where I sat for 6 days. Not really a soul in sight, and it's cold and windy in the mornings and cold and windy in the afternoons, and grateful when the sun comes up. It's an amazing place just to be alone and focus. Stars were absolutely phenomenal. Rings around the moon, Orion's belt, perfect scenes of archery and mythology unfolding in the sky. Really extraordinary. And you just sit there alone. It's the first time I had tried a little bit of of liquid fasting, so for the 6 days, I took the first 4 days without any food, and then the last 2 days without any food or water. Just push your body to the brink and look up at the stars and suffer a little bit and wait. My friend gave me such an amazing realization that the word temple relates to the word tempo, which just means a place to wait patiently on God. Patience connotes suffering. So you just wait in the desert, wait in your body, wait on your rock, drink in the scenes of beauty and relief when they arrive. Try to take shelter from the cold. You just sit on a flat rock and wait for days. And it'll teach you amazing things. So if you don't have one already, I'd recommend you grab a backpack and a travel guitar and a staff. Head off-road. If anybody would like to discuss further, I'd be happy to chat with you, but just know that I came back feeling so confirmed and convicted in every way, and strengthened and transformed, and ready for the battle that's ahead. God bless.